everyone, and welcome back to this episode of Just Another Year Chicago. I'm joined alongside my co-host London Beth and special guest Angel, the office dog. London, please. There she is. And today we will be doing our second Chicago Bears mock draft, covering all 7 rounds. There are a couple trades here and there. We do have in this edition, last edition, we did not have any trades. We did straight up what it was going to be by round. But this time, London and I have both done our own due diligence and are deciding to do trades this time around. Just a disclaimer, I do not have the Bears trading up in the first round, just to start things off. But London has a very interesting twist that no one else has had so far on the Bears this upcoming round. So let's get things kicked off. I'll start off with my first overall pick. I got the Bears sticking at 20. I don't have them moving up. I know that they're in shopping for number 4 for Atlanta. I say do not give up future assets because who knows if Ryan Pace is even going to be here. Let the team be handled by a new GM. But if you're going to trade up, I don't know what he's doing. I don't want them trading up with the 20th overall pick. I got them choosing Rashawn Slater, offensive tackle out of Northwestern. You know, this is only if Darrisaw is gone. You know, out of Virginia. What is it? West Virginia. He's out of. Yeah, out of what? Virginia Tech. So Darrisaw, only if he's gone. We need a good young offensive tackle to come out and, you know, help guard, whether that be Andy Dalton, whether that be another quarterback, as in Kellen Monds. Stay tuned for that. But you know, we need that to build the offensive line, losing Bobby Massie. And also, he's a hometown kid. You know, he's a big kid, but he's probably the best offensive tackle in the draft. He's probably going to be gone by this point, but this is just a mock draft again. So that's who I'm taking with the number 1 pick this year for the Bears. London, who are you taking in the first round?
So I had a little twist for the first round. I know there's a lot of trade rumors now. You know, the Falcons are kind of like out on the 4th overall pick. You know, so a lot of people like, you know, all over Twitter, I know we've been watching and stuff. Everybody's like, you know, move up, draft a QB, do this and do that. I agree with you, Nick. We shouldn't leverage our future, especially because I don't think Ryan Pace is the future. And so leveraging that just to try to make, you know, the fans happy, him get a contract extension, I don't think really works. So in the first round, I have the Bears actually trading back with the Buffalo Bills. We're going to be taking their 30th overall pick. They'll take our 20th. And then we will give them our 6th round pick, 209. And we will receive their 2nd round pick, 61. So that's the trade. So like I said, they will get the 20th pick and our 6th round 209. We will get their 30th pick and then their 61st pick. And I have us in the first round, once we trade back, I have us taking a corner. I think, you know, it's the position that we need to replace Kyle Fuller. And it's going to be Asante Samuel Jr., cornerback out of Florida State. He's 5'10", 190. Listen, Nick, the biggest thing about this is we need a replacement for Kyle Fuller. You know, I think that's glaringly obvious. But secondly, this guy is a dog. Okay, and that's all I've heard of. We are at Florida State's pro day. I know in the other mock draft, we had a couple Florida State guys in there, and he fits the mold of what our defense is. He can play that slot. He can also play on the outside, even though he's undersized. He tackles really well, and it fits for the Chicago Bears defensive mentality.
Yeah, no, and it, you know, I think you bring up a really good point. And, you know, I kind of looked up this guy before the meeting, and he kind of reminds me of a Tim Jennings kind of guy. And yeah. Ironically, we have Jalen Johnson, who's wearing 33. Just imagine how weird that would be. You know, Peanut Tillman's old number. And when Peanut and Jennings were our corners, dangerous. 5 fumble game in Tennessee back in 2012. You know, I agree with this pick. We do need to fill in for Kyle Fuller, even though we do have a lot of corner talent, young corner talent. Why not go out and get a first overall pick? So if I were to do this trade, couldn't agree more with this. But that's a good start. That's definitely a good start for rebuilding this team, not in the quarterback direction. Now, this is where things get interesting in the second round. Now, I have a trade in the second round. I have the Bears trading for the 39th overall pick. I have us trading number 204 in this year's draft, our 2nd round pick in this year's draft, number 52, and 208. So we're giving them 2 6-rounders because we have a million 6-rounders. And though Ryan Pace is good at getting late round gems, his late round gems are usually 3, 4, and 5. So, you know, get rid of the 6. But I'm going with my guy at number 39. I'm going with Kellen Monds, quarterback out of Texas A&M. Again, great 2nd round talent. His pro day skyrocketed his capital. You know, it's hard though when you got guys like Trevor Lawrence, Zach Wilson, Trey Lance, Justin Fields. Even Mac Jones now is in the conversation, which I think is overrated. That's just my opinion. I've never been a fan of him at Alabama. He had a good day. He's a much better athlete than I am, but overall, I don't see it. Kellen Mond, athletic, great. Cannon of an arm, shoots it to the moon. But I have them trading with the Panthers for this up to move up a little bit, just for that draft security. But we're also not getting rid of that first round pick to get that offensive tackle. So you're still getting a pretty decent, talented quarterback as a rookie. You're getting your offensive tackle, and you're not losing any like crazy draft capital coming up. So that's who I'm taking in the second round at pick number 39. I do not have the 52nd pick anymore, but London does. So London, who are you taking in the second round at 52?
Yeah, just to hit on that really quick, Panthers don't need a quarterback. They have Sam Darnold. You know what I mean? And I know a lot
Teddy
of people
Bridgewater.
talk about, yeah, they have Sam Darnold and Teddy Bridgewater. So trade-wise, that makes a lot of sense. So good stuff there, Nick. So for my second round picks, I have number 52, which was our original one, and then we just acquired from the trade with the Bills the 61st. So 52, I'm going with Rondale Moore, wide receiver out of Purdue, 5'9", about 190, 195. I had Kadarius Toney in the last one at a first round. The biggest thing I'm seeing with wide receivers is once you get past the first top three, which is Jamar Chase, Devontae Smith, and Jalen Waddle, they're kind of similar after that. And a lot of people are predicting some might slip, some might get reached really heavily. So out of there, one of the top 10 are going to slip. And since Rondale Moore is a smaller receiver at 5'9", even though he had a phenomenal pro day, he's explosive. He displays that tremendous quickness and all that kind of stuff. I see him slipping because of his size. The bonus to that is we can stick him in the slot, move Darnell Mooney, who I don't think is a slot receiver. I believe he is an outside receiver from what I saw on tape, even though Nick Foles missed him on go routes so many times it'll kill me. Move him into the slot, take him here, get a good, solid, dynamic slot receiver. I think will really improve our offense. And then go. You have something?
No, I just want to hit on that really fast. It's just that the problem is that I would love this pick. There's no doubt about it. Speed, agility. He is what we wanted Anthony Miller to be as a whole. Yeah. And Anthony Miller did not live up to the expectations, though Anthony Miller is hell of an athlete, but his attitude and, some of the things that are going on there, you can't blame him because of his quarterback situation or most of his play calling. But, this is a guy that could be that guy that we wanted Anthony Miller to be. Now, the problem is what I see with wide receivers like this, and you kind of hit on it, them slipping, is his size, which that hurts us because we do not have – Darnell Mooney is not a tall guy. Anthony Miller is not a tall guy. Allen Robinson, 6'2", pretty tall guy. But, you have DK Metcalf out there, 6'3", 6'4", 200-something pounds, like big guys. I'm hitting on that a little bit later in the draft. But, you hype these guys up. Why are they not – and I believe it's because of just their name. Like you said, the top three receivers are from big SEC schools. Purdue, he could have easily been a top three receiver if he was hyped up enough. But, we'll just wait and see. But I know you have another draft pick in the second round. So, London, who are you taking with your third pick at 61?
Yeah, at 61, I'm taking Kellen Mond. I'm going to follow in your footsteps. Quarterback, Texas A&M, 6'3", 215. And just to hit on this a little bit, the best thing that I like about Kellen Mond that a lot of people are not regarding is he was a 4-year player there. Each year at Texas A&M, he improved. He started off as kind of a 4-star out of Florida project. Nobody really knew he was more of an athlete. And then he improved at the quarterback position year in and year out. You love to see that from a guy that stayed in college, okay? Because that's not really a big thing in today's day and age, is staying in college all 4 years. He did that. Also, like you said earlier, he's an athletic quarterback, has that next level arm. He is patient in the pocket, doesn't have to run. He reminds me again, and I know the whole Russell Wilson thing, he reminds me with his running abilities of that Russell Wilson. Where
he's 4 inches taller.
Yes, 4 inches taller. He only uses his running ability when the pocket breaks down. Otherwise, at Texas A&M on tape, he showed that he will stand in the pocket and stay there as long as humanly possible unless he has to run. His sense of run and, avoiding defenders, honestly, is probably the best out of any quarterback in this draft. He's athletic. He's easygoing. I mean, The only knocks on him is his reading ability is not as quick as they want it to be. You know what I mean? And that's I understand that, but he's been around pro talent. At Texas A&M with Jimbo Fisher at the head coach. And honestly, he effectively commanded the offense year in and year out. I love it. I think he's going to slip. I think he's going to go down, be available at 61. We'll get him. And I think after 4 games, he'll come in and just bring an entirely new dynamic to our offense. And also, I'll be very excited because I've been like preaching Kellen Mond to the Bears a lot.
Yeah. And you hit on a couple really good points there. Mitchell Trubisky was not a 4-year proven quarterback in college. Let's just start out with that out of the gate. He could have gone into the draft last year as a junior, but he knows he would have been a 4th, 5th, 6th round guy. He wanted to go back, put his, instead of making millions out of the gate, or, he would have probably not made million, probably $1 million a year, let's say. But he decided to improve himself and he grew as a quarterback. And that's something that the Bears need. They need that cannon. That's something that they really miss with deep routes to Darnell Mooney, to Allen Robinson. I'm not even going to talk about the Saints game. That was the one deep pass that Mitch had that worked. But everyone knows what I'm talking about. The one thing that this is what I really cannot stress enough is that these drafts are loaded with talent. It's not like the old days where like it was the top 5 guys you were getting and then everyone was just a mix up. I mean, you can go into the 3rd, 4th round. You're still getting legitimate talent. And I think that's what happened with Kellen Monds. He wasn't in the conversation till about 3 weeks ago. And I know we've been hitting on him for a while, but he wasn't in the ESPN conversation, till about, 2-3 weeks ago. And now people are like, holy crap, like, but we're already, committed to this and this is what we've seen. And I get that people are kind of concerned that they've only seen this talent for so long, but go look back at his tape from his freshman year, which I know he didn't play that much. But look at his tape really from, the beginning of his college career to now. He is a completely different athlete. So couldn't agree more on that. But that's our second rounds. I have a second round pick. I do. Oh, okay. I do have a second round pick this year. You're right, London. I do have a second round pick this year because I traded my 2022 second round pick. That's my fault. In the last second round pick that we're going to have for today is at number 52. And I'm taking Javal Holland, safety out of Oregon. The Bears do not have a strong safety right now. We don't. We didn't re-sign Gibson. We have Deion Bush, but Deion Bush is a very small, athletic, but small, strong safety. And this kid's big. What was that?
Great special teamer.
Yeah, great special teamer. But this kid is big, 6'1", 201. Oregon just makes big guys, big defenders. I like him. He's a big corner, which is what I've been kind of preaching in the last mock draft too, is that, you got big receivers. And the Bears have one of the toughest schedules in the NFL this year. And they have some big receivers to go against. I know that they for sure play the Browns this year. So you're going to have Odell Beckham Jr., you're going to have Jarvis Landry, not big guys, but talented. And if you put a big corner on, they're going to be able to, a bigger wingspan, guard the ball more. And then you have another guy in Jalen Johnson, you have Eddie Jackson. You have a big DB setup. So I think that's kind of what, the Bears should kind of go with, but that's my second round pick. We need a strong safety. It's very under the radar. Sure, we could go re-sign Gibson for a 1-year, $1 million contract again, but he knows that his value went up after this year, especially playing on a very dismantled Bears defense, yet talented, but dismantled. So with that, let's move into the your 4th pick, London, and my 4th pick. So you're staying in the 3rd round because you traded for a 3rd round pick. So you have pick number 83. Who are you taking with your 3rd round pick?
Yeah, so I'm taking Dillion Radnuns, something like that. He's an offensive tackle, North Dakota State, 6'6", 300 pounds. The biggest thing I've heard about Dillion is this. First off, we were at his pro day. Even though we were meeting with the Seattle Seahawks for Russell Wilson and stuff, we still had scouts there at the pro day. A lot of people are going to say we were watching Trey Lance. I don't think that was the case. I don't think Trey Lance has ever been in the conversation for the Chicago Bears. But him as an offensive tackle, I think is. Listen, he's a talented small school left tackle. He's really, really great on the run blocking. Stays square the whole 9 yards like that. The biggest thing is I've been hearing from numerous things that he's going to slip. He was like an early second rounder for a while, mid second rounder for a while, and because of his footwork on the pass block, he has started to fall, and I think that's perfect for the Chicago Bears. The offensive guard and tackle positions in this draft are deep. Whichever guy who is talented slips in the third round, take him right there.
Yeah. And that raises a really good point. He did go to North Dakota State, which is a Division I AA school, part of the Valley. You're on a very talented North Dakota State team that wins the Valley every single year. Trust me, I would know. I went to Illinois State. I know the pain that North Dakota State brings to the Valley. But his footwork hurts him. He did guard Trey Lance, though. And Trey Lance doesn't put up good numbers unless he has a good offensive line. If this guy's his tackle, I don't blame you. Also, 6'6", 300. He can pack on 20 pounds in the NFL. I think that it's a very legitimate pick. But that's your third round pick. I'm going into my fourth pick, which isn't until round 5. Kind of mix things up a little bit. So round 5, I have pick number 145, trade with the Jags, trading my 6, 221 and my 6, 228 to move up to 145 in the draft. And I'm taking Sage Surratt, wide receiver out of Wake Forest. This is the big receiver I was kind of hitting on earlier that the Bears need another big guy. Wims, I believe, is going to be gone within the coming days because of his contract. They're going to try to move him. There's very low possibility that the Bears keep Javon Wims. And, this kid's big, 6'3", 215, good for red zone toss-ups like we discussed in our last mock draft. But why will he fall so late? He had a really slow, for a big guy, 40 time. He had a 4.6, which I'm not talking lineman slow, but 4.6 for a wide receiver in today's NFL, you're like, oh, you tight end, you sure about that? He needs to get some more speed. I think that's why he's going to slip so far. But that's my fourth pick in this draft.
Yeah.
Again, trade up with the Jags.
Especially when everybody's running a 4.3. Yeah. For some reason at all these pro days, when you run a 4.6, you're going to probably slip, especially at the wide receiver position. Because like I said, every single human being out there, and I know a lot of analysts and a lot of, past and present players on Twitter, on all this ESPN, on everything have been like, whoa, what does everybody just run a sub 4.4 nowadays, So that's totally understandable.
Yeah. And, I know that you hit on wide receiver early in the draft. I hit on safety early in the draft. And I know that you're with your fifth pick in the 5th round, you're taking a safety. Who are you taking?
Yeah, so with the 5th round, 164, I'm going to go with Darren Hall, safety, San Diego State. He's 5'11", 190. I was tossing this one around. It was between like Caden Stearns out of Texas or this guy, okay? And then I looked at the list of the prospects that the Chicago Bears have met with and the pro days we've gone to, and none of them included Texas players. And I don't even know if we actually even went to the Texas pro day. And so I was like, that might actually not happen. Okay. So Darren Hall, we've met with him. We went to the San Diego State Pro Day. He's a 2-year starter who also saw action his freshman year. He is a nice-sized safety / corner with a knack for breaking up a lot of passes. He has a quick foot in his reverse, effectiveness, good burst to the ball, and he just kind of makes sense at that 5'11", 6 foot, 190 for safety from what the Bears kind of have been. Like Amos was around that size. Deion Bush is around that size. It just kind of feels like that's exactly the safeties we're looking for. The biggest thing, watching some of his tape and reviewing some of the stuff is he's not great at sticking his nose into the ball. Okay, but that's again why he will slip to us in the 5th round is because effectively when it comes to run stopping, he's more of a ball hawk than he is a run stopper. But again, I think that's something the Bears can work with. It's a defensive team. And also in the 5th round, you just want to get the most value you possibly can.
Right. And I think you're right. In regards to your ball hawk comment, that's what Eddie Jackson came into being. Look how that turned out. So, I think with our new defensive coordinator who's going to run things just like Vic Fangio, I think that he could be, a good asset in regards to his playing style. So moving into my last pick of the draft, because I've gotten rid of all my 6th round picks, No need for those anymore. No need for those this year. I'm taking at 164, Dylan Moses, linebacker out of Alabama. Alabama's defenses, you can't go wrong with anyone on it. I mean, and another late round pick like Eddie Jackson from Alabama could get that little, step in him. But he's a big guy, 6'3", 240, and runs a 4.5. Like, that's pretty quick for a big dude. And he's not a receiver, but he's also 240 pounds. Just imagine 240 pounds running at you at, a 4.5 40.
Mhm.
So I think he could be a good compliment, especially with Danny Trevathan, getting up in that age. We kind of need that, we got rid of Mingo, which, I was a big fan of. We don't have Woods anymore. We did bring back Christian Jones, but I think that, we should start building for the future, someone that could potentially play alongside Roquan. And hey, Briggs was a first rounder. Roquan was a first rounder. No, I'm sorry. Urlacher was a first rounder. Roquan was a first rounder. And Briggs was a late rounder. Dylan Moses could be the next guy. Who knows? But I liked him a lot looking at his numbers. He apparently had a really good pro day, but they have him falling low because he wasn't, again, like a big name linebacker. And linebacker isn't really a need this year in this year's draft. A lot of teams need quarterback, wide receiver, corners, and tackles. So I think that, that helps us out. But that's my last pick of the draft. London's got, what do you got? 3 more?
3 more.
Yeah, London's got 3 more picks.
Yeah, just to hit on Dylan Moses really quick there. I hope he slips. Okay.
Yes.
He was a highly, highly, highly touted player out of high school, went to Alabama, played linebacker, was phenomenal. Has sat behind all the great linebackers that have came out of Alabama the past couple of years, had a very terrible injury. And that's kind of where this slip is probably going to happen. And also, a lot of our GMs and a lot of our coaches, our GM and a lot of our coaches went to the Alabama Pro Day and have met with a good amount of linebackers throughout the SEC and stuff. So I would totally see this if he's available there. And I would be very happy because I was a big Dylan Moses fan, like coming out of high school way back when.
So I just want to hit on something really fast because you raised the point. I think you know where I'm going with this. You said he had a big injury, went to Alabama, played on defense.
Yeah.
The last guy that the Bears took that had a major injury went to Alabama and played defense.
Believe me, when I saw this on our, off air script for, our mock picks, I was like, oh my gosh, that's like an Eddie Jackson pick all over again. So I won't give you totes there. And if he's available, he could be somebody kind of like a few years back when Jalen Smith from Notre Dame had that really terrible injury in the championship game when they got blown out by Alabama. And he slipped to like the 3rd or 4th round. Cowboys picked him up, sat him for a year, and then now he's, arguably a top 10, top 15 linebacker in the NFL. So patience, and same with, Eddie Jackson. So
patience is key. That's what we like to do. But I really like your last 3 picks. I want everyone else to hear it. So who are you choosing with the last 3 picks you got?
Yeah. So really quick, for my 6th round picks, I have the 204, the 221, and the 228. I'm going to keep 3 of our 6th rounds. So I'm going with Elderson Smith. I had him in the other mock, and I still really like him in this one. He's an edge from Northern Iowa. He's 6'7", 260. He's Harris all over again. You know what I mean? He came in, he's going to come in the 6th round. He's going to sit behind our great D line that we have. He's an athletic pass rusher with just size, upside. He fires off. He shows flexibility, and he plays extremely well for pad level for how big he is. And it just screams Chicago Bears 6th round pick. Is just pick the freakish D lineman and wait 3 years, and then he'll play really well, and then he'll probably go get a big contract somewhere else. The next pick I'm going with is Walker Little, offensive tackle from Stanford. He's 6'7", 310 pounds.
Not so little.
Exactly. He was a dominant left tackle prospect in 2019. But again, he's one of those guys that got injured, opted out last season. But he's tall, athletic. Terrific foot work when it comes to the pass blocking and run blocking. And the biggest thing is we need somebody to replace guys like, Massie and all this other kinds of stuff like that. And this is another guy that due to injury if he came out or didn't get injured, he would probably be a first or second round, pick. But because he got injured, he's gonna slip. He's gonna slip way, 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 way down because there's not tape on him all last year. And we're gonna snag him in the sixth round, and I'm gonna be very excited about it. And then for my last pick, for the Chicago Bears, again, a guy I'm sticking with because I really want to see him in a Chicago Bears jersey is going to be Kylen Granson, fullback tight end out of SMU. He's 6'2", 230. And again, the reason why I keep hammering this is I'm sick and tired of the Chicago Bears not having a fullback. I know it's like a forgotten position and all this kind of
Not
other stuff.
Nagy's offense.
I know. But we draft so many. We draft and have so many tight ends on our roster for the last 2 or 3 years. I think at one point we had like 12. And none of them translate to fullback. This guy played both positions. He's a productive pass catcher, who has the movements and ability to translate onto the NFL level. He's athletic. He plays faster than his 40 time, his quickness. Yes, he's a little undersized, but getting him in the sixth round, bringing him in, using him as kind of that, Kyle Juszczyk, position, I think could bring a whole new dynamic to our offense. And again, he's just another weapon we can use on offense. So we don't just sit there and have to feed David Montgomery and Allen Robinson every single play until they double them, and then we're screwed.
Yeah. I like that you're sticking with, I have Kellen Monds as my guy that I'm sticking with. But I went out and saw some footage on this guy. He is a tough dude. Like he yells Chicago Bears, like I'm going to run you over, kind of like a Jason McGee kind of guy. Remember
Exactly.
him?
Yeah.
Exactly.
I missed that Jason McGee kind of player.
Yeah. And I think that you picked him up, and the one that I want to hit on both your other guys really fast. Walker Little, I totally agree. He'd be a first or early second round pick if he would have played last year. Mm-hmm. And, though I disagree he's going to go to the six because he was a very strong player before he decided he was injured and he opted out. I think that he might go 4, but if he gets in the 6, Ryan Pace is a nut job not to take him.
Yeah.
He is big. He went to Stanford, so you got to be somewhat smart to play football there. Overall, I like that pick a lot too. And, Ellerson Smith out of Northern Iowa, I see 6'7", but then I see 260 next to it. I'm like, all right, this guy screams Leonard Floyd all over again because he's slim. Mm-hmm. But, just eat some, brown rice and chicken every day, 3 times a day with every single meal, and then eat whatever meal you're going to have. Put on 40 pounds, be 6'7", 300, lean, mean, Chicago Bears machine. That's my rhyme of the day. But, that I couldn't agree more with these picks. It's just that there are big reasons why they are in London's 6th round. And that's something that's to consider because, you can have, London's a big guy. Everyone could be like, oh, London can play in the NFL. But then then London will be like, yeah, no, I don't have footwork. I don't have anything like that. You could throw anyone out there. There's reasons why these guys are going to slip that far. In London, I was not roasting you by any means. You are a much better athlete than I am as well. So, you would have definitely made it in the NFL over me. But yeah, absolutely. I think that's a good one. And, just to throw in a complimentary pick, Angel got to have a choice today. And I believe she's going with Kellen Mond too. I think we all mutually agree that.
Oh yeah, 100%. I think if Kellen Mond winds up on the Chicago Bears, whether it's in the second round, third round, I saw some guy on Twitter, and I know we tweeted about this, that wanted us to take him in the first round, and I was like, listen, that's a little bit too crazy. Like, yes, I love Kellen, but he's going to be available in the second and third round, and we can kind of trade around with some of the complimentary picks we have in the sixth round. We do not need to waste a first round pick on him, because if he is, knock on wood somewhere, if he is just an absolute, bust and doesn't make it in the NFL and we wasted a first round pick, I will not hear the end of it. You will not hear the end of it. The city of Chicago will not hear the end of it. And we just have more glaring issues in other positions. Like, we do still have Andy Dalton for a year. So honestly, if we wanted to, we don't even have to draft a QB. We could just wait until next year and have the first overall pick because we don't win a game with Andy. And then everything is hunky-dory. But it just second, early third round, somewhere in there. If Kellen Mond is available, I mean, I'm buying a jersey, a little tiny jersey. We're sticking it on Angel, and she's gonna parade around that. We got the second coming of a good QB.
Yeah, absolutely. And for anyone that, and that's the thing about Twitter that just drives me nuts is that the second anyone sees hype around anyone, let's go get him. Let's go. Like, stop. Take a deep breath. Go learn a little bit about like the player itself, why they're being predicted to be in the second and third. And I told you this, London. There's such a low risk, high reward with Kellen Mond that taking him in the second or third. You take him in the first. The only way I would take Kellen Mond in the first is if we traded back like you did, but we had like the 31st and then we had the 32nd as well. Like we had a back-to-back first pick. But still, I maybe wouldn't even do that. But Kellen Mond, I love the guy. He could blow people out of the water. But another thing is that I talked about this, is that the only first round pick quarterbacks to win the Super Bowl since 2006, or 2000, drafted in the first round since 2004, Ben Roethlisberger, Aaron Rodgers, Patrick Mahomes. And the elite Joe Flacco. Don't forget him. But there have not been first round quarterbacks that are winning Super Bowls. Like everyone's like, they're the answer. They might win you games. No question about that. But they're not winning Super Bowls.
No.
You got to get a guy with a chip on his shoulder. Russell Wilson's a perfect example. So that's also why I'm all in on Kellen Mond being later.
You might have forgot one person since 2004, and I want to just really add this in here because one of my buddies is a diehard Colts fan, and if you don't add this quarterback in there, he will probably drive to my house and break in and attempt to murder
Manning? I mean drafted 2004 on. Manning was drafted in the Stone Age.
Okay, but he was a first round. I'm laying it out there. He did win a Super Bowl since 2004. He was a first round, even though I don't really think he got him there, and he had his neck problems, and that defense won them that game. Right. I will put that out there.
Right. All right. Yep. Just making sure. Clarity there. Clarity has been made.
We don't hate Peyton Manning here.
No. Love Peyton Manning. I would love to be on, his show. Nothing's better than the Chicago Bears episode, especially when they bring Brett Favre on and they just roast him in the parking lot.
Best show ever.
Yeah, but Favre's got more Super Bowl rings than you and I have been alive. So let's just, he has won more Super Bowls since we've been alive watching the Chicago Bears. Let's just make that clear. But with that, that's our mock draft 2.0. A lot of players picked, a lot of different strategic decisions. We will have one more before the official draft, as there's going to be, there could be a big trade coming up still. Who knows? Atlanta's number 4 is still up in the air. So there's more to come on that. But with that, thank you very much for watching this episode of Just Another Year Chicago. I've been joined alongside my co-host London Beth and special guest Angel. And we appreciate you guys listening in, and we'll talk to you guys next time.